Middle Tennessee. First, happy Thanksgiving to you guys. Middle Tennessee, I'd say, we're a little disappointed about this one because it didn't go the way some other games have gone. Win or lose, we have competed hard, which we did on Saturday, but we're trying to create opportunities. To change the outcome of the game, and the two previous weeks we were able to do that. Middle Tennessee, we really liked our plan. We liked the plan offensively and defensively. We just felt like we create some mismatches on offense. We felt like we could do some things to slow them down defensively, and really kind of thought we could create an advantage on special teams just because of the way special teams was trending. And we had an opportunity, I think, to make some plays, Middle Tennessee, and we didn't make them. There's too many drops, too many missed throws, too many. You're the focus player in the run game, and we didn't execute defensively. I thought open field tackling was okay at times, and then but it was sporadic, and we gave up some explosives because of it. There were some missed assignments, and there are things that we evaluated and we're working on, and that's our job as coaches and as a team. But overall, it was a disappointing loss. We should have and could have played better, and at the end of the day, that's on me. But now we are focused on FIU. I would say that we take this last game, and we're going to find a way to get something out of every game that we play. And there are some things to work on, and I know everybody thinks that they got 1 week to play, so I'm sure they're waiting for it to be over and all that. We're not. Like, this process, we game planned Saturday night on the way back from the game. We graded the game Middle Tennessee. We started on Delaware before I even landed. We started on FIU before I even landed, and we've been doing that all the way through Sunday and Monday. And so we are as intent on prepping and winning the FIU game, which should be our last game at Shell Energy Stadium. And then we'll start focusing on the 2026 Bearcats. But I think Tuesday is typically a tougher, more challenging day because we present all the problems in practice, and we did that again today. But this is as much juice and as much energy as I've seen in a Tuesday practice, and it's just indicative of how our players have been so resilient all year. So we're going to try to turn another good week of practice into a good performance on Saturday.
All right, let's get started, and we'll let Colton have the first question.
Yeah, I'm just curious. 2 starts now for Landyn. Just what have you seen from him through those starts, being able to go back and review the tape?
He went 25 of 40, I think, for 281, 2 touchdowns, and we had the pick at the end of the game, pressing for a 2-minute drive. But and there were plays that Landyn and I would tell you, watching film, if we're sitting watching film with you, that we'd like to have back from an execution standpoint. But I think with any young, intelligent, athletic quarterback who cares, and we've got a number of them in our room, and Landyn and Mabry have worked with me the most out of everybody in that room. They're both very intelligent. They both are passionate about the game. They do a great job preparing, and I think as the two of them rep and continue to get more experience, they'll continue to improve and get better. And I have full confidence in both of them, and so we are seeing some of the progress with Landyn because of two consistent back-to-back starts. And there's work to be done, but there are also 10 other players on the field that this game doesn't happen the way you want it to until we're all playing and working in the same direction. And as I said, I thought there were some plays and some players that didn't execute, and we've got to do a better job as a staff at getting them ready for Saturdays.
Yeah, Coach, one topic of conversation this year has been getting the receivers involved, and Grady O'Neal showed that this last weekend against Middle Tennessee. Some things you've just seen from him in practice and what you'll like to get out of him in this last game on Saturday.
Well, he's a great example, so I appreciate bringing him up. He is you want all 105 players to be as passionate about the game as he is. right? And like Coco Brown and some guy, and Alton McCaskill, guys like that. They just bring it every day. And what you see from guys that lay it on the line every day in practice is you see that consistent improvement. You know, Grady is 11 weeks better than when we started in the beginning of the season, and it's because of the work ethic and the preparation and the passion. And, you know, I think he's finally feeling what this offense can be, not just for him, but for all of our receivers. You know, it wasn't uncommon the first time around here to have you know, 150-yard receiver one week, and then it was a completely different guy in week two. And, you know, Ben's shaking his head because he remembers, you know, it was Nathan Stewart for 150, then it was Davion Davis for 180, and then it was, you know, Yeti Lewis for 163 and 3 touchdowns. And it just was, you kind of went around the deal. And that's what we want. We want to get to a point where the defense has to defend everybody, including, you know, the backfield that we have. But it all starts up front, and, you know, the general out there is the quarterback. And I think we've got to get better execution out of our tight ends. And those are things we can get to. And those are things that we're building on. We think laying the blueprint this year is going to pay great dividends heading into 2026. But there's no better way to finish off a year than with a good win. And so that's our primary focus right now.
Colin.
Hey, Coach. So Coach Simmons, first year in FIU, got them to their first bowl season since 2019. Just kind of what do you see out of Coach Simmons' program out there in Miami?
You know, Coach is doing a good job. They're playing better ball right now than they did early in the season. And typically that's indicative of good coaching. And it also, I think, resonates a little bit with how on board their players are. And so those are the teams that get better. And I'd like to think that we have gotten better this year. I think our guys have coached these players hard. I think our players have been resilient. And I don't think that FIU is all that much different. They're playing really good football right now. You can tell out there their body language, their demeanor, they're confident. This is a very rangy, very athletic team on both ends of the ball, and Coach has got them heading in the right direction, and, you know, we fully expect to get their best Saturday.
And Sorrels.
Yeah, final game of the season, coming to an end to your first year here in Huntsville. How would you remember this senior class and kind of the season as a whole when you look back at it?
You know, they have a hard time understanding what I'm saying right now. I called them all up in the team meeting on Sunday, and they all stood up. Anybody that doesn't have eligibility after this year and or is graduating and moving on, but to a civilian life, as we say, and non-football life. But you'd like to put your best game on the field this last week because, one, to honor our seniors, and two, just so they go out feeling good on a winning note. But I am indebted to this group. And our staff is indebted to this group. And we feel that way because somebody had to attack this season. Somebody had to attack what we faced this year. And they chose to be here and be Bearcats, and they chose to follow us in our direction, and they gave us everything they had, and I'm sure they're going to do that on Saturday. And they may not realize this yet, but they will come back here in the future, and they will appreciate that we're winning. And I'm going to be the first one to tell them, just like I tell them now, that they helped us lay the blueprint. You know, they helped us lay the plan out this first year. And I know we've been at FBS for 3 years. The group of five hasn't really been, you know, a fully funded, up and running, money-driven level of ball until this year. You know, and I'm not saying nobody was involved in it prior, but it is all amped up and full throttle at most places right now. And I'm excited to say I know that we're going to join that force here after the season. So I look forward to that stuff. It's my job as the head coach to plan out what we need to do to go win Saturday. And then, you know, there's a portion of my day that has to be tied to recruiting, and it also has to be tied to this vision that we have for the program moving forward next season. And so I divvy that up and I compartmentalize it. And, you know, when when I think about these seniors, I think about what they've done for this program to set us up for, the next step of building this program, and I will be very, very thankful for them with regards to what they built and what they did for us this year.
Let's keep on moving, and let's get the next question from Carlos.
Coach, you touched on it right there, but obviously this year hasn't gone the way you would have liked to envision it, but you were able to find keys of success throughout the year. Just how do you build off of this year and take it in stride and be able to use it for 2026 and going forward?
So, I don't know how colorful this is, but we did not waver this year at all from our plan, and we didn't waver from the process. And that sounds boring, but the fact that we didn't do that is precisely the reason that we feel like we have a very solid foundation right now moving forward with what we do in every aspect of the program, from practicing to game prep, to feeding the guys, to training them all year, to the off-season plan, what we do in the summer, how we handle away and home games, all that stuff. Everything that we did this year, you have to take the plan. Every head coach has a plan for each of the, for us, there are 12 aspects to the program. We have 12 categories in this program that the way we title them, we feel like there's nothing tied to a college program that doesn't fall under one of these 12 categories. And so we address each one of those 12 categories every single day. And each week we try to find a way to improve or upgrade that area. And we've done that systematically every week, both on the field and off the field. I told our guys there's a large nucleus of players coming back now that have relationships with the current staff. The current staff has much better relationships with each other because this is, even though a lot of us knew each other, it's the first time we've ever worked together, throughout an entire season. I've got roughly 35 to 40 players now that'll stand in, at the front of the line in a drill in the spring, and they'll be able to turn around and explain to the five guys behind them, here's what we're doing, here's why we're drilling it, here's the way we're doing it. And we didn't have those people last year. It's basically you've got 35 to 40 player coaches out on the field moving forward that, they can help promote the plan now. And those are all advantages that we'll have this year that we did not have coming in. And those are the disadvantages, the inherent, every program deals with the inherent disadvantages that you have when you first come in. We will not have to go through another first year. And in effect, this is a completely new and different era, because now we are in the FBS, where everybody is very competitively funded, and that's the world we're going to need to live in to compete. And I know that's where we're headed, and I'm looking forward to it.
Colin.
Hey, Coach, I know all y'all's focus is on right now, for the most part, is on FIU, but of course the season's coming up with off-season, and a new thing with the transfer portal now is that you only get it's one window now. I believe it opens January 2nd. Just kind of what's it been like? Is it much easier on the staff to when it comes to the off-season, or is it what's kind of been y'all's view on it so far?
Well, since NIL and RevShare came out when I was at North Carolina, so that's the third school that I've been at where we've, this has been a part of the college world. It has changed every single year. Now this is going to be the first year with only one window, January 2nd to January 16th. There are disadvantages and advantages to that. There are pluses and minuses. If you look at last year, the second window saved our program with regards to filling the roster, because we signed 33 players in May, and a lot of those played for us this year. We will not have that window this year, so that means January is going to be that much more intensive to replace the players that will be moving on that don't have eligibility anymore. The advantage is you have your team in January, February. You have a larger percentage of your team here and involved in spring ball. You also have your team for the entire year, right? So there is no second window that you've got to compete through in May. It doesn't exist, so that's an advantage. And we can just go coach our guys and get to know them, and maybe take a slightly different approach in spring ball. And coaches like routine. Coaches like having a plan. Coaches like being prepared ahead of time. And in this world of NIL and rev share, it doesn't give you an opportunity to do that. We had good training through the COVID years because every single day was a new adventure and you had to reassess the game plan on a daily basis. And little did I know that was going to be great preparation for this NIL rev share world, because the rules constantly change and the playing field constantly changes. And so you just got to get up every morning going, okay, what are the variables? What's the best game plan for today, and how do we attack it? I do think there is going to be some routine heading into this spring and fall for the first time in 4 years, because we know there's only one window. We have spring ball, and we can lay the plan out for the year without a lot of things changing. So I know our staff and I are looking forward to that.
Let's get another question from Colton.
Yeah, I was just gonna ask on the defensive line, how important is it going to be to kind of stay in the backfield and wreak havoc against this FIU team that has a bunch of returners from last year?
So say again, I'm sorry, you cut out.
Just being able to get in as your defense get in the backfield and wreak havoc just with the core of guys that they have had for the last few years.
So these guys are athletic, right? And I think to disrupt the two really good running backs that they have and the quarterback who's really been playing well, down the stretch here, for them to have a clean backfield is a problem for us. So we need to get penetration in the run game, and we've got to get the quarterback off his spot. Even if it doesn't result in a sack, we've got to get him to move his feet. We all know, I don't care who it is, unless it's Patrick Mahomes or somebody, once you get a quarterback off the spot and you get him moving his feet, throwing on the run with a different view, the completion percentage is never the same. And so in the games that we've been more successful on defense, we've done exactly that. We have disrupted the offensive box. We punctured the box. We have created some pressure in the pass game. And we've generated some TFLs in the run game, and I don't think that those ingredients change any heading into Saturday. It's we really want to address the RBs before they address us, and I think that'll be probably the biggest challenge here with regards to defending FIU's run game.
Yeah, kind of along those same lines. I know you guys were without Chauncey Cheedy and Tokyo Gordon in that beast position last week. Did that change anything schematically for you guys, and does that impact anything you're trying to do this week?
Well, it does. We don't probably have the depth right now. We will have moving forward, as we keep building the roster, heading into next season. But so when you have guys out like that, you really have to adjust the game plan, because there may not be a second stringer or a backup that can come in and perform at that level. We do have some depth at some positions, and so we're able to not have to change the plan. Tokyo has been a bright spot for us this year. He actually came in because of initial injuries at linebacker, and saved the day in some cases with some really good play when we didn't have our starters in, and he's developing himself into a linebacker that we really like, and I think he fits our scheme well. And then Chauncey's an everyday workaholic, right? And he shows on Saturday, and he's an every down guy. He's the kind of guy you want to take out when he's exhausted, but you're going to play him as many reps as you can. And building that depth as we move forward probably get us out of some of these instances. I think if we have a backup, if we have the next man up mentality at a specific position, it doesn't affect the plan. When we don't, then we have to make some adjustments, and that was certainly true last week with Tokyo and Chauncey.